GM, welcome to 9 o'clock live at the Noun Square, number 331. We're listening to a crazy frog because we got a crazy frog up for auction right now. If you join us at nounoclock.live, you'll see it's a beautiful looking frog with some sunglass noggles on. 2 minutes left on the auction. Current top bid of 24.69 ETH for the culture. We've got April here back from Bright Moments, going to help us co-host today's show because she's very familiar with our guest today. Isaac, perhaps Rabbits, welcomes to the show, Mr. Isaac.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. For Isaac and for anyone else who's joining who might be new here, this is what we do here. This is a show where we first watch the end of the NounsDAO auction. Every single day, there's one noun put up for auction and sold to the highest bidder. Right now, it's sitting, as I mentioned, at 24.69 ETH with a minute and change left on the clock. If we don't get another bid here, it's going to go to Mr. Dan-Burner.eth. Who's already the owner of one noun, a Game Boy noun, I was checking earlier, and has 3.27 ETH in his wallet. If he gets this frog, then we're going to go to a little game called Janky FOMO, where if you're following along with us at 9o'clock.live, you'll see a little oracle that shows you all the potential nouns coming down the blockchain highway, and we'll be able to try and settle one that's pretty nice and aesthetic like we did yesterday with this frog. After that, we're going to play a little game called No Mo Nouns. I'll explain that when we get to it. It's a 2-minute game where we get to rescue one of the failed nouns that didn't make it as a noun of the day. And then we're going to dig in and hear all about the Web3 journey of perhaps Rabbits, Isaac, our guest here today. In the meantime, please retweet the room, get it out on the TL so people can come join us here. And we appreciate that very much. We do a draw every day as well for 0.069 ETH for one retweeter of the room. So appreciate you guys helping us out with that. 20 seconds left on the clock. Doesn't look like we're going to get another bid from wahoo.eth. I did think that he might make another try, but looks like he's going to let it go for 24.69 ETH. Dan Burner about to be a double nouner. Adding to his stash. Looks like this one's going for 24.69 ETH. And yes, it is over. The auction is over. So let's make sure that we're all on 9o'clock.live so that you guys can let me know what you guys think we should mint for today's noun. Any suggestions, any comments, any requests? Ooh, that's a nice birthday cake. What do you guys think? What should we mint today?
No request from me. I've been on kind of hiatus, but so I'm kind of just looking forward to seeing what we have.
Nice, right?
Yeah.
Anything nice at all? Well, I will say that I did get a message from a little birdie earlier today, and he mentioned that there may be someone or an organization who is interested in purchasing a unicorn noun. Perhaps an organization that really likes unicorns. I'll leave it at that. So if we do see a really nice unicorn, that's something that we could try to mint. In the meantime, another thing we've been focusing on a lot is trying to mint out the remaining unminted heads for nouns. So there's only a few heads that have never been minted before. I believe the remaining ones are chocolate, cherry, helicopter, and smile. Oh my gosh, I gotta do it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's a beautiful noun.
I'm sorry. I'm a simple man. You see,
that is not a unicorn, Tony.
That's not a unicorn, but in a way, though, it kind of is a unicorn, and I'll get back to that in a bit. But in the meantime, we've just settled a dark, funky disco factory. I could not resist.
You just can't get away from those dark factories. Forget it.
Well, the last one,
it's done.
I will remind you, the last one went for almost 3 times normal floor. So maybe I'm serving the DAO by doing this. All right, get over to.
Yes, you are.
Let's go to 9o'clock.live. It's time for Nomo. You've got 25 seconds to look at this row of 3 nouns who didn't quite make it. They're going to have to call their parents tonight, explain to them that they will not be tomorrow's noun, but you could help them save a little bit of face, and become the Nomo noun of the day. And how you do that is by choosing one and just clicking it as many times as humanly possible. We're all going to be doing the same thing, and the one that gets clicked the most often gets minted. Let's go. We've been told this is the most fun minting mechanism of any game in Web3 by several guests. So let's see what you guys think. You got to save the noun that you want to save. I see you guys want the blinged out snowman, or someone wants the blinged out snowman. I'm pretty partial to the Dawn Shark. Or what about the pirate ship that's making waves? That's a pretty good one.
Ooh, pirate ship.
Pirate ship making waves is pretty nice. Not gonna lie. I mean, the snowman's good, but I think he's gonna help.
I like pirates.
I feel like Jarman must be playing today. Jarman must be playing today because we got a zebra and a pirate ship, both in the final four. I don't see him down there, but
I'm all for the zebra.
He's not in here, but maybe quietly
behind the wayside. Down to the final battle. We've got pirate ship making waves.
Hey, let's
we've
go,
got
pirates.
A blinged out snowman.
Come on, pirates.
I know Five Oceans wants the pirate ship. The sailor in him wants that one.
Yes.
Definitely.
You're in the head again.
That's why I'm so quiet, because Tony always says. You to try and Sybil attack. We dare you.
I love it.
And that is today's Nomo, a beautiful pirate ship making waves. If you would like to mint if you'd like to buy today's noun, another dark factory with this time some disco noggles, it's probably going to cost you around 25 ETH. You can do that. You can place your bid using the window at the left there on nounclock.live. If you'd like to take home the Nomo noun, well, it's a special edition that's open for 24 hours for the low price of 0.0069 ETH. Supposed to be a really affordable way for anyone to grab a Nounish NFT for their wallet and introduce you to the Nounish ecosystem. Of course, gas is a little bit wilding lately, but even still, for less than $50, you can grab this Nomo noun. You will have a beautiful Nounish NFT in your wallet for the rest of eternity, or as long as Ethereum lasts. B, you'll get access to a special zone in our TNS Discord. It's called the Nomo Zone, and Symbiotech, one of our team members, spills alpha in there all the time about stuff that's going on in the NFT world, so that's a really good channel to get access to. And also, finally, we do a draw every single day on the Noun Square here. It's called the Lucky Nomo Draw, and one minter from the previous day gets a free Nounish NFT. Just for having minted the previous day's Nomo. So those are a few reasons why you might want to grab one of these. It's open for 24 hours. All right, so that is our duties. That's our duties for the day. We've been doing these duties for 331 days in a row, so we take them very seriously. We follow the NounsDAO auction around the clock. This is our second time around the clock, almost completely. When we started doing these spaces in June of last year, it was 6 p.m. EST. And we're currently coming right up to that. So we're almost about to celebrate our second time all the way around the 24-hour clock.
I think it was a little earlier. It was earlier.
Are you sure?
Because when we were I'm positive, because when it was 5 o'clock. It was around 5 o'clock when we were at NFT NYC in June.
Okay, maybe I have
So it was a little earlier.
Maybe I'm remembering incorrectly, and in that case, we've already been around the clock twice. So no big deal. But glad you guys could join us here today to choose the next noun of the day. So now if you look at the left side of your screen, this factory, so the reason why I chose this factory is recently we had another factory that was also all dark like this, and it commanded a pretty hefty premium. And so I don't know, I saw another one, and maybe Tortita will have his second chance at a dark factory. That's honestly what I was thinking. Friend of the show, Tortita, was bidding on the previous dark factory and just missed out, and maybe he'll get a second chance. We'll see. Mr. Isaac, thank you so much for joining us. And we always like to ask people their first time on 9 o'clock live. How chaotic was that for you?
Well, it's my first time on 9 o'clock live, and as both a speaker and a listener, and it was high energy, which was great to see. Great to see.
high energy
I think
indeed.
I want to participate. I didn't realize I had to be wallet connected to participate in the MASH game, but next time I'll be
Oh shoot,
prepared.
I forgot to say that. So were you clicking for no and nobody was listening? That's so sad.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It was still exciting to be a spectator.
Awesome. Which one were you hoping for?
The pineapple one. So
Oh man, look at this. Just disappointing
did
our
they?
guests.
Will there be another?
You should have yelled. We always give the guest like preference. So you should have said pineapple and we all would have been going for the
Does the
pineapple.
Yep,
pineapple? Will the
absolutely.
pineapple be back in the mix for some future mashup?
Yeah. So the way it works is like the way the nouns contract works, first of all, is that like every single block of the Ethereum blockchain, there is a potential noun that would be born that day. It's randomly generated, but it's only born or it's only put up for auction if the previous day's auction is settled in that block. So what we were doing in that first game was trying to settle the auction at a strategic time to get a really nice looking noun for the next day, which was the factory. So the idea behind Nomo was, well, let's take all these nouns that sort of didn't quite make the cut, or we missed it, or we weren't quite quick enough on the draw, and have a chance to save one of them. So to answer your question, yes, there'll be lots of pineapples in the future that could be saved.
Okay, warms my heart. Glad it wasn't the only opportunity.
Awesome. But that doesn't mean you have to come back, though.
Got it.
Yeah, the caveat. April, I want to pass it off to you. I know you invited Isaac to join us here today. I'm super excited to hear about his journey in Web3 and what he's been building, but I know you're a lot more familiar with the ins and outs, so let me pass the mic over to you, and maybe you could get the interview started.
Yeah, thanks, Cody. And thank you, Isaac, for joining us and participating in the 15 minutes of chaos we do at the beginning of the show. No, I really appreciate you coming on. Isaac and I actually met in a queue outside of NFT Paris on the very first day when there was, I mean, the queue was it was crazy. So I managed to scoot in when I saw a friend, and they just happened to be standing next to Isaac, and we ended up chatting a little bit there. And I've been, following him on Twitter since, and know that he's very involved in PunkDAO and MonkeDAO from. I think you're involved from like the IRL side, right? Isaac, kind of like
Exactly.
we
Yeah.
have a friend here, Optoshi, who does a similar thing. She's kind of our IRL queen and goes to all of the different events, and you probably met her actually at NFT Paris. She was right at the front there on the nouns desk. But yeah, so it would just be great to learn a little more about how you got to being in this wild world of Web3 and how you ended up in PunkDAO and in MonkeDAO, like kind of hosting events for those guys.
Sure. And I just want to say I had two very fortuitous meetings on that line, which was I also snuck in and joined some people at MonkeDAO and ended up speaking to a gentleman who I assumed was with them. And then we got our devices out to like exchange Twitters when we got into the venue, and it turned out that he was this guy that I just started randomly DMing with on Twitter like 3 months earlier. And anyway, so that's that was there were a couple
it's
of very
weird how the world
I
puts
know,
people
very
together like that.
very weird. And I think like for me, part of the magic of doing the IRL stuff is just like those crazy encounters and connections that you get to make. So for people who like have not had the opportunity out there to go to any of these events, large or small, people to make it out, and if you're part of a community, it's a great entry point because you show up already knowing a bunch of people or having connections to people who can kind of direct you to events or cool stuff that's happening, and also just like you get to make IRL friends with the people that you've already been nerding out with online. So definitely a big fan of the event stuff. Yeah, so you had asked about kind of how I got started in Web3 and how I got to where I am now. Is that where I should roll with?
How you ended up like going down the rabbit hole, and then here we are on Twitter Spaces.
Totally, yeah. It actually, my husband is the founder of an enterprise-focused blockchain company called BlockSky, and they're not very well known at it since 2017. It's been a long time. When we first connected, actually, we first were together in college, and then reconnected because he was in New York for Consensus in 2017, and I ran into him in the middle of Times Square. So another wacky, at the time I wasn't in crypto, but another totally serendipitous crypto conference connection that led to me getting married and ending up in crypto myself. And at first, crypto was his thing, and I was working in a financial firm and then working on my own startup that didn't work out. But then with COVID, I had a lot of time on my hands, and I think like a lot of other people, it led me down to kind of first, what's Bitcoin? What's Ethereum and smart contracts? And then in the beginning of 2021, I found my way into the CryptoPunks Discord. And back then, like, the NFT world was a pretty small place, and most of it was in the CryptoPunks Discord. And the CryptoPunks Discord wasn't token gated. There was a way to verify that you were a holder, and if you were verified, then your name would appear in green. But anyone could get in and talk NFTs, and that's where most of the conversation was happening. And then, so that was a kind of, I think, a particular moment as NFTs were getting really big, and then and I got my first CryptoPunk in February of that year, and then NFTs got to be kind of like too big for the Punks Discord, and for various reasons, the kind of Punks world sort of atomized among all the other stuff that was happening, and that was sort of, I think, a bummer for those of us who felt some nostalgia for those earlier days. And and for me, I ended up over that summer kind of getting more into the Solana NFT world. I actually it was my husband got me my first Solana Monkey Business token back before there was even a marketplace. He was trading them OTC in Discord. And then I went to Breakpoint and met a bunch of the monkeys there. And I think like the Solana NFT world is, for people who are not familiar with it, is, the chain really grew up with NFTs. And so the whole NFT culture is really interwoven into what's happening in in those communities, just like from the get. And MonkeDAO in particular is just a sort of locus of developers and builders and investors in the space. And so has always been a kind of an entry point for people who and kind of grown up with the chain as a place where people come and learn and connect and meet each other and meet their co-founders or find investors or what have you. So I kind of got and with this really strong IRL component. So that's kind of how I got really excited about the kind of opportunity for doing more IRL stuff. And when a couple of fellow punk holders suggested that we do something at East Denver in 2020, was it 2020? It was last year. It was Tegan, who's one of the co-founders of The Graph, and Sergito, who's the big, he's the Seize the Memes dude. We put together this brunch at East Denver, and we had like 40 people show up, punk holders, and that's kind of where a lot of the stuff got started. So I don't want to rant on. I mean, there's more to tell, but any kind of questions so far?
No, that was an awesome overview. I would have loved to have gotten in those early like CryptoPunk Discord days. Sounds like there must have been like a real hive mind of like cool people just happened to be in there at that time, sort of hanging out. But Isaac, maybe you can speak a little bit about like PunkDAO and what is PunkDAO in relation to like CryptoPunks, and how did that all come about?
Certainly. So at East Denver meetup, which was just a Sunday breakfast, pretty close to the conference venue, there really hadn't been much by way of like meaningful gathering. Like definitely there was like people getting together for sure, but like kind of like something at that size and kind of to date with Uncle came out of that was that people thought that there was an opportunity for sort of for holders to take collective action. And in particular at the time, the thing that was really getting people excited was acquiring the CryptoPunk IP. Now, and so that's why that's what kind of people were mobilized around. And then shortly after the announcement was made that Yuga had acquired it, but there was still energy and enthusiasm and kind of people coming together around this idea that having a DAO where CryptoPunks could come together and try to achieve things and work together for the benefit of holders, that there were a bunch of people who were still interested in making that happen. And so the Telegram group that I'd started to organize the ETH Denver event eventually became this global Telegram group, and we now have over 600 holders in it. And we did a big event at NFT NYC, and then started a working group to put together PunkDAO, and that work happened over last summer. And a big kind of we had a lot of help in that from, I mean, there were a couple of punk holders who were really motivated about it. And then we also had help from the Tribute Labs team. So are you guys familiar with Tribute Labs or what it is that they do or what their history in the DAO space?
I'm personally not. I don't know about anyone else.
Yeah, I haven't heard of them either, no.
Yeah, I mean, definitely for people who are DAO nerds, they really, really early to the space, they started a few years ago at creating these venture DAOs, most famous of which are the Lao, which is a venture like a crypto investing DAO, Flamingo DAO, which was a early NFT investing DAO. They own something like over 200 CryptoPunks, and they've since.
Our friend, the Nounish professor up here, definitely knows about Flamingo DAO. She's obsessed with flamingos.
Yeah, exactly.
Slightly obsessed.
Yeah, so they. And they have a bunch of other DAOs like Neon DAO that focuses on the metaverse, Metropolis, which is for AI investing, and so they had actually already Aaron Wright, who is just an absolute legend and an absolute sweetheart, and like a lot of people at Tribute and Flamingo, just absolutely loves CryptoPunks and NFTs in general. He had already PunkDAO, some kind of a PunkDAO had already been bouncing around in his head. And so with the help of Tribute and some of the folks who are involved or are punk holders and are already involved in other Tribute DAOs, what we ended up over the course of the summer kind of coming up with this two-sided DAO for PunkDAO with a community DAO and a venture DAO. And so the way that they structure their venture DAOs is they were Delaware LLCs, and they operate under certain kind of like regulatory structures that allow them to invest and act in certain kinds of ways. And so they Tribute, provides this kind of governance template and supports the investment DAO with resources like we have a DAO manager, and then they help us out with things like social media and actually they help us out with all kinds of stuff. In addition to we plug into kind of their larger network when it comes to deal sourcing. So that's the Punk Ventures DAO, and that's governed using a token. So based on however much you contributed, which contributions could either be made in ETH. Some people also contributed CryptoPunks. So we have a treasury of punks in PunkDAO, the venture DAO. You received a certain number of punk tokens, and then they have a DApp that if you have these punk tokens, you can log in, you can look at the governance proposals, which are usually around investing. They're also building out kind of other infrastructure that supports, the deal management process, and then you can vote on the investments. And then we also have a bunch of conversations about that investing activity that happens within the Discord and on calls and what have you. So that's the venture side, and then we also any questions about the venture piece at all?
No, I think it's interesting that you separate the two pieces out, though. That's really smart.
Yeah, I think we fundamentally, the idea is that that there are just a lot of synergies and opportunities in terms of saying, hey, what we're trying to do is grow, like is kind of build the value and build on the value and values of CryptoPunks, right? And that there are things we can do to promote the kind of legacy and the recognition of the importance of these assets, and we can do those kind of synergistically, both with the community piece and with the venture piece, and that those things can support each other. And that Tribute has a lot of expertise, and there was interest on the part of a number of holders to have this venture component.
Isaac, just quickly, how many people were there at the beginning when you guys first established the DAO who went in and invested and participated? And has that number grown since you guys kicked it off, or is it pretty steady? Because obviously there's not like Nouns where there's a new holder coming in every day. The 10K are out there in the world.
Yeah, so we have 43 members. We're closing our initial cohort at the end of this month with 45. The way that the legal structure works, we have a limit of 99. So in the future, we might look to do another raise and take on additional members. And again, these in order to join, people have to be accredited investors according to that the accredited investor standard. They have to be a Punk holder. They also need to agree to participate in like the venture DAO in some way, and then we would also vote on. At this point, we would be voting on whether or not they would be accepted. So that was, I think we had, the PunkDAO working Telegram group has something like 120 people in it now. So, and we promoted the membership in this DAO kind of within the larger Telegram group. There was some stuff about it on Twitter, and then the Tribute Network they got the word out to members in their other DAOs. So some of our members are Punk holders who are also like members of Metropolis DAO or participate in like some of the or members of some of their other venture groups. So I think so that's the Tribute piece, and they're just like really, really early on kind of visionaries about DAOs and thinking about them specifically in this way, and also recognizing the value of CryptoPunks. So they're a great partner for us to work with. And so that's anything else, any other questions about how the venture side works, or?
Yeah, I just had a question about, so are you, is it operating similarly in terms of the setup and legal aspects as a venture capital fund, or how are you taking this a little differently, I guess is a better question, in terms of like the Web3 aspects of it that might be different than like traditional VC?
Yeah, so well, of course we're focused on crypto investing. It's a lot of people who have been in the space for a long time and maybe are independently working at venture capital funds or are operators in crypto, or otherwise just like psyched about NFTs or CryptoPunks. And the investment making is done by a collective decision making process, and ultimately that includes like kind of an initial screening where we are looking at these investments, polling within Discord to figure out if we should be doing further diligence on them, moving to an on-chain governance vote, and then ultimately the governance vote happens on-chain. So it relies on more what the membership calls the hive mind, much more than a traditional venture capital fund, which would be kind of having more centralized decision making, maybe within an investment committee or a a particular partner who runs a sector or that kind of thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And are you also treating this like with the same kind of, I don't know, I don't want to use the word legalities, but like, is it only accredited investors, like those kind of aspects?
Yeah, so that's the way that the Tribute has structured these DAOs requires that people who participate on the venture side, have to be accredited.
So then that should keep the SEC off your back. So
yeah, it's very, very focused on.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah, there's very much of a like, their goal is to really do this in a regulatory compliant fashion. So that's the venture side, and I know we don't have a lot of time.
Gary, you can stand down. Gary, you can stand down. Gary Gensler, this one's fine. It's all good.
And I think I'll just say
Isaac,
on the DAO side, I want to talk more about the community piece because that's like actually the side that I work on the most. I will say, like, in terms of the venture DAO stuff, it's like there's, as much as we have experience and expertise from Tribute, there's still a lot that we're figuring out on our own, and within the DAO are currently talking about like coming up with incentivization and what are some ways that we can do more to recognize contributors. And I think that this is something that all DAOs struggle with, especially as they're kind of in the kind of storming phase, as we still are, being like maybe only 6 months in, and we have some people who are quite passive and other people who are really active out there, whether that's doing things to support our community initiatives, whether that's like doing a lot of deal sourcing, whether that's like spending a lot of time on calls, talking to founders, and so figuring out how to, and then there's some other people who are less involved, and that can be fine, but figuring out how to kind of make sure that we're incentivizing participation appropriately. So,
Isaac, quickly before we move on to the community side, which I'm super excited to hear about, is there anything that you guys have invested in that you're like super excited about or super love outside of CryptoPunks itself? Is it a lot of NFT art? Is it generative art? Is there just one specific piece that you perhaps like love?
Yeah, let's see. We haven't actually announced our investments, and part of this was like we're building out our Twitter feed with a focus on the community side, and we have this kind of tension where I think people are confused about about PunkDAO and may think that this is just a venture investment club, and so we don't want to participate. So we actually just decided that we're going to have a separate @PunkVenturesDAO Twitter feed and start tweeting about our investments there. The first one we made was in the fall of last year into a project called Venture Punk, which is run by a punk named Jordan Lyle. He's someone who's just been in the space for a long time and just has a lot of cool ideas about incubating investments and incubating ideas. And I think like that's the kind of thing we really like to be supporting, because like, it's consistent with what we're trying to do in terms of like making investments that promote the historical value of punks and promote the network of punk holders. We can certainly there are some opportunities where it's like, hey, we have this opportunity and we want to invest, and maybe doesn't clearly do that. But the investments that are like very clearly like punk aligned are the ones that get me really excited. And like, so supporting Jordan and then going to the conferences and going to the meetups that he organizes for his venture studios, like that to me is that's the stuff that I'm really excited about. And then we've done some like a cool one that's like AI enabled search for called Onaji for NFTs, where I think it's having for a lot of us, we going back to just those days early in crypto, there's just this interactive like, hey, we're looking even just how to use Etherscan from people and understand like, oh, this person's wallet holds this, but they also control these wallets, and that holds these NFTs, and there's all this kind of like forensics and sleuthing happening. And I think a lot of that in the future, a lot of that will be done, not necessarily in Discord, although that's cool too, but also where people will go and like interact with the bot and ask the bot questions like, what are some collections that that other people who hold CryptoPunks and Nouns are also have started buying. So Anaji enables that kind of thing.
That's super cool. It sounds like you guys must be having some pretty long and deep conversations about some of these investments, which must be really interesting. But yeah, we'd love to hear more about the community side and how that looks as a part, as a half of PunkDAO.
Yeah, sure. So this was the part that kind of got me really excited, and because I, especially having organized events for MonkeDAO, and then I did, putting together an event for CryptoPunks at East Denver, and then NFT NYC last year, wanting to really feel like we could provide this as create a platform for organizing community initiatives that was sustainable and that would draw people in and give them resources to do more with CryptoPunks. And so we got kind of fortunate. We had a little bit of a windfall from a mint that we participated in that has given us a small treasury. And so we've been using that mostly for events. Starting earlier this year with the NFT Paris event that was when I ran into you. We did something at East Denver. We co-sponsored something with Meebits at NFT LA. We did something, I feel like I'm going to forget one. We did a couple things at Consensus. One of them was an event that we co-sponsored with Tribute, which the Tribute network of the people in their DAOs, they just it's a lot of really, really smart people, and they come to these DAOs because for investment opportunities, but there is a really strong element of just community and vibes within the DAOs. And so for me, a great part of the opportunity of the Punk Community DAO is to say we can be a nexus for all of these really, really smart, cool people who are in Tribute, and and a lot of them are CryptoPunk holders. But then we also have a lot of Punk holders where we can benefit from bringing those people together. So we had a happy hour at Consensus that we organized with them. We did a breakfast at Consensus, and we're working on something for the Lisbon conference. And I think what's been awesome. So in terms of successes so far is it's been, even in this market, we've have a bunch of people who want to partner with us and support our events, and we are so grateful to all of them. So thank you to everyone who has supported our events. It's incredibly, incredibly appreciated. You guys have been a great partner for us, and a number of other ventures, a bunch of them founded by CryptoPunks. And so I think that's been very promising in terms of the future, the sustainability of at least the event piece, because it does look like we can continue to build, a group of supporters who are interested in partnering with us and reaching our community. And we also, for Lisbon, it's the first event that's going to be a PunkDAO event that I'm not organizing. And as someone who hopes that this can, as I said, become a platform for other people to take the initiative and come to us and get resources oh, hey, we have relationships with these sponsors, and we can give you our template for our deck, and we have a graphic designer who can create promotional materials, and you can be the person to you bring your resources and your initiative. That to me is very hopeful and positive development, and one that I really hope continues, because as if we hope to scale this community.
That's awesome. I didn't realize NFT Paris was one of the first events that you guys had hosted. And the community side itself, is that for the DAO, is that something that's open more broadly to Punk holders than, I guess, the investment arm, or is it still that core group of people, but then perhaps you bring in other people at the events?
Yeah, so this is something that we right now we're working on the governance for that piece, and we are going to be putting out a NFT that punk holders can mint that's their membership in PunkDAO, and then that can be used for voting on proposals within the DAO. And part of that is just to get people psyched about saying, oh, and understand, and like doing some marketing around saying, hey, yes, we have this ventures component, and that's for people who've, contributed and participate in that side. We also have this community component, and that's open to any punk holder. And we'd really love to have you come and join. Now, for something like MonkeDAO, like if you want to participate in the online and IRL like stuff that's happening with MonkeDAO, like you need to join the Discord. And with us, there are already these other there are already these other kind of virtual assemblies of CryptoPunks, including the original Larva Labs Discord, which has a couple hundred verified members and is now part of Yuga. And then there's also the Telegram group that I started, which we have about 650 people in it, most of them holders, but it's not like an official PunkDAO kind of virtual assembly. And so it's great that there are a lot of places where punks come together. We also just kind of are working on getting the word out to people that, PunkDAO is open to all punk holders. We'd like for you guys to come and participate and, find people to collaborate with, find resources to pursue projects that benefit all holders.
That's awesome. And you mentioned just a little bit earlier as well that Yuga had been supportive, like on the event side, and like, did they give you much of a feel of like, have you had conversations with them about how they feel about PunkDAO itself and whether they're going to want to be sort of partnering up to do things in the future, or is it still very sort of separate, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're still, it's something that's kind of on us is to come up with a larger proposal of sort of what we're thinking about events for the future and how they might slot in. I think they also have a new CEO, and as part of that, I think they're taking I don't know if you guys have tuned in to any of the stuff that he's put out. I went to the taping of Overpriced JPEGs that he did at Consensus, and he talked about Yuga as a content and community company. And he talked about each of the different brands as different franchises within that. And so I think he comes from a gaming background, and I think this was in response to a question about whether Yuga essentially is a gaming company. And so I think that, gaming might be the right kind of content for one or more of their different brands when they're thinking about content and community. And then for CryptoPunks, it could be something else. And so I think we have some ideas about that. We are speaking to the Yuga folks in a couple days about things we think that we could build that would support that on the content side, but also help to grow and educate both the community of holders and beyond. And I think we just are excited to partner with them in ways that they want to work together.
Very exciting. How many of you were like together at the beginning who said, you know what, this is a great idea, let's like set up the DAO? Is there a little core group of you who were really I guess at the heart of driving this forward? And is it still like that group of core people with like the other sort of 40, 45 participating in the voting? Or is I guess how have you sort of taken on this responsibility of driving some parts of the DAO itself forward?
Yeah, so on the venture side, it's a little bit people kind of come and go depending as their time sort of allows. And I think we, as I said, we're kind of looking for more ways to increase engagement and promote involvement. And that, and then there are some folks who are active on the venture side and also excited about working on the community stuff, a few of us. And then we also have some people who are, as I mentioned, kind of did not participate in the venture DAO and have been involved in supporting a couple people who've been involved in like helping out with the events and other stuff. And then we're just like really excited to onboard more people and get them involved and kind of this NFT membership card is, we're hoping, going to kind of send the message like, you can be a member of PunkDAO and please come and get verified in our Discord and vote on our proposals and that sort of thing.
Makes total sense. And I guess, Isaac, from your side on like the community and the events, what have you guys got coming up, I guess, for the rest of this year, or what's the next event that you're looking forward to and you're planning right now?
Yeah, as I mentioned, we're doing something for NFC Lisbon. So that's going to be, the punk events are very, we've historically done like breakfasts and brunches. In fact, it's kind of a punk's brunch has kind of become this own, it's a little meme. And I feel like even if we ever did like a cocktail party, we'd have to call it punk's brunch, or people would call it that anyway. And part of that is because people really come to these events to connect with each other and meet each other. And, like even just I helped my husband with his fundraising at our breakfast in Austin. I like made 3 connections that I passed on to him. So it's really that kind of, those kinds of events where people are really connecting with other people who are building things in the space. This is a way in which it's quite similar to MonkeDAO, actually, with just a kind of more mature, I would say, people who've just been in the space longer or what have you, given kind of the relative premium on the asset. And so that's really what the kind of events that we look to have is really just like places where people can come and connect and talk to each other and get to know each other as holders. We always do name tags. It's a little nerdy, but important to me as an analog technology to promote that kind of activity. And so we're going to be doing a brunch at NFC Lisbon. I think we definitely want to do something in Singapore, but still kind of, I would say, putting together our calendar of events for the end of the year, probably, and also thinking about doing more like localized events. Like I want to do a couple in New York. I'm based in New England. We have someone who's pretty active in London. And so we'd also love to see and help punk holders who are interested in just doing like localized events as well, if that's just like in a city where we can get a bunch of people together.
Awesome. Yeah, I think if you can get people who are sort of just living and based in these locations to take the initiative and go and set up like a monthly punks brunch, then you could sort of see that gain momentum pretty quickly. And I guess the lift on that doesn't have to be too hard. You can just be like, okay, it's going to be this spot, this time, first Sunday of every month, and then it's rolling. And I also totally agree with you about the name badges, by the way. That is like crucial.
What is the Nouns IRL strategy look like? Or what have you guys done?
It'd actually probably be great to connect you with Obtoshi, who is on the ground queen essentially, and she has a whole schedule of crypto and non-crypto events that she is heading up for the rest of 2023, basically. And depending on the location and the event, I guess she will switch up her strategy depending on that, whether she just hosts something little or perhaps like NounsDAO are co-sponsoring, which they had like a sponsorship spot with NFT Paris. So she is basically leading that charge on behalf of Nouns. And then also there's a host of other events that just pop up because of it being the nature of Nouns itself and people just going ahead and putting something on.
That's what I was going to say, April, is that it's interesting because Nouns has a similar challenge to what you guys will have, I guess, in terms of organizing IRL events as a decentralized body. It's not as easy as it sounds, if it does sound easy, because even NFT projects with centralized teams have trouble sometimes putting together IRL strategies that have high impact. So as April mentioned, we definitely do have some builders like Aptoshi who've been funded to literally go and represent Nouns to the best of their abilities at events all over the world all year long. There's also the group Nekfus and crew who are hitting up every ETH Global event with more of sort of an outreach to technical builders aspect.
Awesome.
And then we've got people like Five Oceans, who's got his hand up down there. I'll go to him in just a second, but he did a really cool proposal where he brought sort of a sailing regatta on board to do Nounish sailboats in the NFT, in the NYC Harbor, sorry, during NFT NYC, sort of just as a one-off activation. So you kind of get some of these really cool projects as well that pop up, and maybe Five Oceans wants to add a bit of color to that because he's got his hand up.
I'd love to hear about it.
Yeah, hi Isaac, and it's very interesting to listen, about PunkDAO and what you do. And I saw the photo that you posted on PunkDAO from, I think, Consensus. And when I look at the members, I can see like, of course, like Punk holders are more like experienced and mature. And I think for NounsDAO today, like we are trying to solve like how to onboard 3 different groups of people. And first one is, of course, we want to have like more followers. So we want to create visibility, and then that's kind of how we that's why we are trying to generate more content, like for YouTube, for example, or like those different animations. And then I think the second group of people that we're trying to onboard is, of course, the new or next nouners, right? Who would buy and join. It's like I think at the moment, like it's unsolved, but we are thinking that now DAO should participate more in like Ethereum hackathons, like and because the builders or like people with experience, they would appreciate how the NounsDAO work as the decentralized organizations. And the third one, I think, is might be very interesting to somehow become like. Sisters, DAOs between NounsDAO and PunkDAO is we need people with experience. I think people who would be able to, make kind of good decisions or bring their expertise and experience to NounsDAO. And speaking about this kind of collaboration, if we organize some kind of event for for ETH New York, for example. And if we organize some event in New York, I can also invite Electro Capital. I met them this time, and then maybe we can do like some kind of breakfast together. And now
I love it.
will
Five
pay
Oceans with
some
the
money.
Five Oceans coming up on stage with the elevator pitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. I think
like, for PunkDAO, I think what would be interesting is that NounsDAO has a lot of creative people around the world. Is if you want to make a poster or a T-shirt, it's so easy to find talented people within NounsDAO, and I think we need your expertise. could be great collaboration.
Yeah, we should chat. We should chat for sure. I think I think it's satisfying. Sorry, I'm outside. It's a little bit of a breeze, but I think it's something that I've been, as I mentioned, was satisfied about or excited about organizing something with the Tribute Network. Is it's just like the right chemistry of the kinds of people that you're bringing together in terms of what we see PunkDAO's mission as. And so certainly like finding other organizations to collaborate with on events that where they'd serve that mission is, we're all about it. So yeah, let's talk.
This actually kind of ties into another question that I had, but before I get to that, I see Prof. Werder's got her hand up, so
yeah.
go there first.
I just posted a whole bunch of photos from different events that we've done live up in the nest there, so you could take a look at that. And they're, again, it's very decentralized, so some of these came from proposals and some of these just came from my personal initiatives. So of just being like, okay, we're going to do 9 o'clock live and we're just going to do it. So awesome. There's a lot of, it's not always like a clear strategy, but it is something that I'm actually been working on and talking about, something a little bigger and just trying to find the time to pull it together. But we do need to lean more into IRL. Yes, April, and I will be circling back to you on that, by the way, because I need somebody on that side of the world. So that's definitely something we need to do more of. So I love hearing the way you're approaching it, for sure.
What have you found to be kind of most successful in terms of the events that you've organized?
I think we get a lot of great interaction and a lot of great attention. And I think it's very easy to incorporate nouns and nounish things into another event, like into what other people are doing. So, for example, when we were at Art Basel, one of the things that Oni actually organized was part of Beyond Basel, where we had a space and we were part of the gallery that they had there and helped support that event. And then, like, Nouns was shown on all the projection screens and all of that. So it was really kind of a cool way to just integrate into other larger events, because we don't have that many holders. And it's not like we can have an event for, we don't have 10,000 holders knocking on the door to get into an event. So it ends up being a little bit smaller, a little bit more intimate, or we become part of other events. And anytime you walk in, I've gotten indoors that I shouldn't get into just because I was wearing noggles, not kidding. Because they're like, oh, you're with Nouns, come on in.
Yeah, I was
Because
going to say,
we bring fun. We bring the
I
fun.
agree. I agree with you, Prof, that I think that collaboration between builders and proposers is maybe Nouns' secret weapon, even as much as it might be a challenge for decentralized organizations to organize and collaborate. I also feel like it can sometimes be a benefit, because you get sort of all these people, organizing things, off chain and on chain. So some things that are IRL and some things that aren't. And then you get just these wonderful sort of happenstances of collaboration, like what happened in New York, where, for a bit more context on what happened with the sailboats, Five Oceans, who was speaking earlier, had put this prop in just as sort of a standalone prop, having really nothing to do with any kind of gathering at NFT NYC. It was just supposed to be like a proliferation effort that, put to work his experience and passion in sailing to get, these sailboats made with sails that had the noggles on them and just sail them back and forth in the harbor. But then, other things started to be organized for NFT NYC, and eventually there was a 110-foot sailing yacht thrown into the mix, and everybody who had gone from the Nouns community down to NFT NYC was invited to come and sail on that boat, and get a firsthand look at all the smaller sailboats with the noggles on the sails, and just have this amazing networking opportunity. And all that sort of just came to be organically by all the different builders who were going to New York for separate reasons. So I think that can kind of be all that to say. I think there's definitely some interesting synergies between builders just pulling together with similar passions.
It's something that I wish if anyone out there is listening and is psyched about this in the punk community and beyond, is like, for me, I feel like I'm just the water in the just add water weird coming out. I mean, not unrelated to the sailing analogy, where it's like, I don't really do much. I don't do much beyond like providing I mean, actually, it's a lot of work, but it's like, just like find a venue and some name tags, and then you just get punk holders in the room, and it's just people are psyched to be together and interested in being together. But
Are you saying you're the sea monkeys? You're the
pardon
sea
me.
monkeys?
The
Are
sea
you saying
monkeys.
you're the sea monkeys and they just need to
They're
have
the
water?
sea monkeys. He's the water. Yeah,
They're
there
the
you
sea
go.
monkeys, and I'm the water. But I do. There is a lot of opportunity to engage, especially like non-holders, in in introducing people to what, in this case, what you guys were doing with Nouns, like that I've been trying to think about, and we have this call with Yuga about, in terms of like events or content that helps to kind of like get other people excited. And that is a part of our mission too, is just helping to promote the recognition of CryptoPunks and their historical value and their artistic
That's a really
value.
interesting thought, right? Because I mean, that's something that sort of, when you think about punks and you think about Nouns as maybe being two separate, iconic collections, one thing that you notice that's different is that there are like these layers of fans of Nouns that number in the thousands who aren't actually holders of the tokens. And I think that's something that could be a huge unlock for punks if you could figure out how to do the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. And you guys have like a bunch of different entry points in terms of, well, because you have this,
No more Nouns.
you allow people to be like creative with elements of the IP, such that they can get engaged in the brand and in the concepts beyond just holding the tokens. And I think like we have a little bit more of a challenge in that regard, because the cost of entry is high, but we also do think that like we do think
Well,
that like
so
punks are really cool, and there's an opportunity for people to get excited about them even if they can't own them.
for sure, but I'm thinking about what you're saying right now about how Nouns has these different levels of entry, and I actually don't think that's the main reason why Nouns is so popular. I think it's more so because there's so many opportunities for people to build and create within the ecosystem. And yes, like CC0 is definitely an unlock for that punks obviously can't take advantage of. But what if punks set up like a prop house type situation where the owner of an individual punk gave the rights to their punk likeness to be used in a prop house round and try to inspire builders to kind of do some fun stuff with it. Just sort of riffing off the top, and maybe that builder energy could somehow be, you know, um, could be duplicated on the punk side, even if the licensing structure isn't exactly the same.
Yeah, that's a great. It's something that was even. It's as I talk to you guys, and you guys are like obviously pioneers of the Nouns project as a pioneer with the IP space, and I think like you guys, I think that there's obviously a lot of advantages to the way that you guys are, or the way that your community thinks about it, and the CryptoPunk or the way the IP is structured for CryptoPunks is a little different, but it was part of the early idea for PunkDAO is to provide for punks who want to do things with the IP but don't have the money to hire a lawyer. So we had someone who was kind of trying to take the lead on that project who just got distracted. So I think now that I'm not doing events this summer, I'll pick it up, because I think one of the things we would like to do and that would help promote kind of the dissemination of punks would be to say, oh, hey, like there are people who have these crypto punks and they are psyched about people using them in creative ways and are willing to do so without like charging a lot of money if there's a way that they didn't have to pay for the legal costs of doing it, and at the same time they were giving a resource to someone to promote whatever it is that they're trying to do, and also give more get more eyes on punks. So yeah, I think there's a lot of cool stuff there too.
I love that.
One other
One other
thing,
there.
yeah, I wanted to mention was you had asked like, what do you see that works well in IRL events? And one of the things that I think is really helpful is is making it fun, like extra fun, not just club fun, not like just outrageous performances and Lambos, but like Cryptodes did an event in New York at Spin. So it was all ping pong tables and arcade games, and it was really fun. So there was things to do while you're there, and I think that makes a difference. It gives, especially for those who might be a little bit more introverted, it gives them something to do so that they then start to interact more, and it can be really helpful. Like it's fun to have those small, intimate, like breakfast or whatever, where you're just talking and connecting, but also having those fun events where you're doing something. And I mean, obviously the sailing event was next level, but even just something as small as like playing, ping pong or something can be really fun. And I do have a background in events. Actually, I was an event planner for a while. So this is like something that I just have seen over and over again. Like when you have those activities, it just gives people something to create a memory over on top of. I would say the same thing about like what Doodles has done. They've done that so well with events, and like Doodle Putt was exactly that. It was like giving you that opportunity where you're not just hanging out talking. There was space for that too, but there was like this activity you got to do and just have a lot of fun doing.
Yeah, then there's also just I remember NFT NYC like last year, not this most recent one, but the one before. It just felt like it was a sort of arms race of, oh, you have Madonna and we have Tame Impala, and it's not all the events just and it was so loud and all these things, most of these things, that you couldn't even talk to anybody. And so
yes,
we definitely want to make it so that people can connect and learn and make friends. And I do think that there's opportunities to make things like more structured, maybe more like punk themed as we move forward.
Let's do breakfast on a boat in September.
There you go.
That is something
Nice.
I'd be keen to attend, breakfast on a boat. Well, Isaac, it's been amazing having you on. I know we haven't actually touched on MonkeDAO at all, which I feel is maybe a good thing because I feel like it deserves its own conversation for sure. And you mentioned before,
I'd be happy.
on the space, like, yeah,
Yeah,
maybe
I'd
if
love
you
to
could
put you guys
connect
in
us
touch
with
with them.
Nam.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think that would be great for you guys. For me, it was not to take up a lot more time, but for me, participating in and organizing events for them, and was really what helped me see kind of the potential for building out, like providing similar opportunities IRL for punk holders that really didn't exist. And so that was I really have, and I also think, like, they're the first NFT DAO on Solana. They started actually with the kind of like antagonism of the creators of the project, and just like really, really, really stuck with it in a pretty heroic and kind of masochistic way, actually. And recently acquired the IP for the SMBs, the Solana Monkey business, and just are now like really positioned to do kind of amazing things as a result of just being like very dedicated to each other, to their DAO members, to their community, and so that's just they really deserve their own like full hour of conversation, because I really think that they are unlike anything else that's happening anywhere in NFTs anywhere.
Okay, so what are you guys doing on May 17th? No, I'm just kidding.
I'll put you in touch with Nam. He can tell you the story from having been in the trenches from day one.
I was in Lisbon for around breakpoint time, and I was overwhelmed by like just the MonkeDAO presence there, and how anyone within like sort of the Solana ecosystem, that was kind of not all they cared about. I don't want to say that, but it was really like, I guess, like what everyone wanted to be at, what everyone wanted to be involved at. It was like, yeah, if you're in MonkeDAO, you knew the score.
MonkeDAO did 7 events at the last breakpoint. 7 events.
They had like more than one event every day.
It was crazy.
So I definitely had a little bit of an initiation then, but I think you're right in that they'd be awesome to speak to, because they've also had like a lot of big stuff happening recently, just with
big
the
stuff.
SMBs. Yeah. So
happy to put you guys in touch, and it's a whole nother like incredible world of DAO stuff that they can chat with you guys about.
That would be awesome. And no, thank you so much for coming on. I'm not sure if there's anything else that you wanted to touch on or mention.
No, just thanks to everyone who tuned in, really, and thank you for the opportunity to talk about PunkDAO. And I hope maybe there'll be a future opportunity to come back, and we'll have lots of progress to report on, and maybe in 300 and maybe show 662.
Sounds like a good idea. We'll still be here, I think. we'll probably still be here.
As long as Nouns is here, we'll probably still be here.
I'm giving it like 90% chance that we're definitely going to be here. Awesome. Thank you so much, Ali, for joining us.
Take care.
Super fun.
Likewise.
A few little housekeeping items, of course, as we go to wrap for today. We want to give some things away for free, and let's start with the POAP. I believe Zargs is taking care of the POAP for us today. That's a free NFT that everyone can claim just for having been here. Zargs, are we good to go with that POAP?
I need to send it back real quick, and then we'll be fine. Yeah, because we had set it till 6:30.
Yes, we ran a little long. That's okay. You do that, and what I'll do is I will do the draw for the retweet picker winner, someone who retweeted the room today to help us get the word out about our space. We appreciate that very much. And we've got a winner for you. Anyone quick with the drum roll? If not, I can try to sort it out myself here using the janky Twitter one. There we go. The winner is our very own Nounish Traveler 0x Dariush. Congratulations, Dariush. Thank you for retweeting and always being around the community, being a great source of positivity for all of us. 0.069 ETH coming to your wallet for helping us to get the word out about today's space. Are we ready with that POAP, Zargs?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's hit us with it.
Oh, my. Okay. For those of you who don't know about it, if you go to poapp.xyz, you can grab the app. It's real quick to install. Just head on over there, open up the app. Then you click on the Mint button and then the secret word button. And the secret word for today is PunkDAO. PUNKSDAO.
Easy one to remember. Type that into your app, and then you will have to do a little capture game brought to you by the fine folks at PoApp. It's pretty difficult. Sometimes makes me wonder if I'm actually human. But you do need to count up to 1,000, skipping several numbers and not missing any out of order, and not missing too many period, or you'll fail. So good luck with that. Best of luck doing that while listening to the last minute of the space. Hopefully you'll be able to claim that free NFT. Our PoApps, by the way, are done by artists in our community, have been done that way since we started doing this back in June of last year. So lots of people who come to our show every day, if you go and take a look at their PoApp wallet, you'll be blown away by all the awesome art that they've collected from our community artists over that time period. So that's what you can grab just by showing up every day for this space. But we don't just do our daily space here at the Noun Square. We also have a program called the Soapbox, where we host spaces for lots of different sub-communities, sub-DAOs, and different nounish groups that just want to be able to host a space without too much organization on their part. So we have some of those coming up in the next 24 hours that I just want to highlight. Tonight, in about an hour and a half, we've got Food Noun O'Clock. Food Nouns is a fork of nouns that's all about food security, food service, and food in general. Really fun collection, really fun group of people. If you want to hang out with them, that's at 8 p.m. EST tonight here on TNS. 10:30 p.m. EST, we've got the folks from NounsDAO, which is another fork of NounsDAO, all dedicated to extreme sports. They get together once a day at 10:30 p.m. here on TNS to chat about their daily drop, which is sort of like a what's that thing called? I'm spacing on the name of that the app where people did about Top Shots. There we go. Wow, it's been a long week. It's like a Top Shots-esque platform that they've got for extreme athletes, so they can sort of mint their tricks as NFTs, and they get together once a day to talk about that at 10:30 p.m. EST. Tomorrow, Thursday, nothing during the day, but at 5:30 p.m. Actually, we've got a conflict here. Zarge, do you know what the conflict resolution is on this one? Because it looks like our 9 o'clock live is falling right at 5:30 p.m., which is usually our time for Brand Buzz with Nikki.
Yes.
Move earlier?
Brand Buzz is going at 7.
Aha, thank you. See, I knew you would know.
Yeah.
So tomorrow, the first thing we'll have actually is Cindy Wu here at 5:30 p.m. EST, roughly, for 9 o'clock live. Cindy, if you missed it a few weeks back, she was actually making a frog noun out of Post-its in her room and made a video about it on Twitch. It was really cool, and we decided to invite her on the show to talk about that and lots of other stuff. So that's tomorrow, 5:30 p.m.
It was
EST.
a frog. It's because it was a frog, right? That was why.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
You're obsessed.
That's the way to my heart is a frog noun. So if you want to check that out, that's tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. EST. At 7 p.m. we have Brand Buzz with our TikToker extraordinaire Nikki and her colleague Justin. They talk about everything that's going on in branding and NFTs. And then again, 9 p.m. tomorrow, a special time for NounsDAO again tomorrow. That's what's coming up in the next 24 hours here on TNS. It sounds like Prof. Werder wants to share something as well, or she's just stretching her arm. I'm not sure which.
I did want to share something. I've pinned up a bunch of stuff up top about Floor Nouns version 2, which is now available. So if you happen to have that little crazy drink man guy in your wallet because you're a Floor Nouns holder or just a flamingo, you can go mint that for free now. And then it'll open publicly next week. And I did post up the Noggle snorkels so you guys could see what those look like. There are some new glasses that some of the students made. So we have snorkels in the new collection. So there you go.
Snorgels? Is that what they're called? Snorgels?
Snorgels. That's such a better name. I was calling them Noggle snorkels.
You're welcome.
Snorgels. I just needed you there, Tony.
If only you had
the
me
right word.
in 55 Snorgels. Group DMs and could have asked me.
If only I could reach you at some point during the day.
It's easy to find me here once a day at 9 o'clock. If you can't
there
find
we go.
Isaac,
by the way, if you take a look at the take a look at the honoraries. They're kind of funny. They're hilarious. There's a Jimmy Buffett one, a Pitbull, and an Alex Earl. So they
You're
are kind
obsessed
of
with Jimmy
amusing.
Buffett, aren't you? You and your Margaritaville.
Slightly. Yes, I am.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, Prof. Thank you, April, for taking the reins on the interview today. It was really great and helpful. And Isaac, again, thank you for joining us. Welcome to join us back here anytime as a guest or just to listen in. So,
Thanks, guys.
by the way, I really like your punk, and I like what piece of art is that? Is that a currency that it's on?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Really cool combo.
Thank you.
Thanks everybody for joining us, and we'll see you on the next time. As you know, we usually try to play a piece of music that correlates to the daily noun on the way in and on the way out today. Hard to find a song about factories, but I found one on YouTube, and the title is "A Matter of Factories, Satisfactory
Wait,
Rap."
is it too late to make a request?
Okay, yeah, we can do that.
There's a Song a Day Man song about CryptoPunks. Would that be hard to pull up?
Hold on, Song a Day about CryptoPunks.
Song a Day Man has a CryptoPunk song. I should have requested it earlier.
Is it Lucky Dan? Is that the one?
No, maybe it's
CryptoPunk,
too
Lucky
late.
Dan?
No. All right.
Because it's Jonathan Mann. It is about a punk, but let's see. We'll find it. We'll find it. Is it an 80s power ballad about CryptoPunks? 4156 and 6965?
Maybe there's only one CryptoPunks. Maybe that's it. I guess there was.
It turns out he's done a lot of songs about CryptoPunks.
Yeah. Let's try let's try there's only one CryptoPunks. Maybe I haven't heard that one.
Hold on. So there's Lucky Dan, and then there's 80s power ballad about CryptoPunks 4156. Hey, I know that guy. And
that seems on brand.
That seems like a good crossover. Let's do that one.
All right, 80s power ballad about 4156. Having parties on the lawn, doing naked handstands. Whoa, didn't know this about 41. He's worth $1 million. He's worth $1 million. How have I never heard this song? Song 6965 has an insatiable sex drive. Whoa, this is a family show. He's one of 24 dates. Don't let him go to waste. This is great. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We will see you on the next time.
See you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Today I learned I had no idea what an 80s power ballad sounds like. Now you know.
This is not it. This is not a power ballad, but it's good.
According to Jonathan Mann, it is.